Ooh, I got that on record, Josh. That big yawn. Welcome to SharkCast Pod, a podcast dedicated to the greatest sporting club in the history of the world. Still in grand finals this week, which is very exciting. This show is brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Cripps and Cripps Real Estate. I am Sam Shinazzi, OG 2015. That is Josh Bolling. He is a legend. He's one of our Sharks analysts. He is a good mate of mine, and he's hurting like we all are after the loss one game before we were supposed to make the grand final, which really sucks. But we're here to talk about that and a few other things. And I'm not sure about my lighting right here. Josh, let me see if my lighting can get better than this. Fascinating for our viewers and listeners. Yes, so we're going to talk about the game a little bit. We've got a chunky on mail. We're going to get to the mail in another episode. This is just going to be about the game and how we're feeling and a few other things like Jack Williams leaving the Sharks. And then we will do another episode definitely soon enough. I also want to say, Josh, that we're recording this one day before the greatest date in the history of the world, October 2. It's October 1 right now as we record. So October 2, we know what happened in 2016. And I do want to just say that usually every year we do an interview with someone special from the club, from the organisation, who went through a bunch of things. And this year it's not going to happen because it's just been a crazy week. It's been a crazy time. Lots of stuff going on, good, bad, indifferent. And just being honest, we're not going to get to it. But what we will do is we'll try and put out some nice sound bites or something from the past that we've done about 2016 just to acknowledge the great day that is. So can't wait to see all the messages about October 2. It's always the great time. Josh, this year was supposed to be different. It was supposed to be October 6th. It didn't happen, man. What are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I was unfortunately unable to go to the game. I was away on a Bucks party for one of my good mates, so didn't get to go to the game, but watched it. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed it because you got to enjoy being in those big games. Otherwise, I don't see the point of being a fan of sport if you're not into those things and not getting excited, getting the nerves as well. That's all part of it. Look, obviously disappointed. More so because I think it was there for us if we were good enough. The Panthers were off for probably that first half. We were playing well. We stuck with them. We dropped a lot of ball and we held them out. Overall, I was very proud. That's the feeling and that's the thing I kept saying to people. I was really proud of them. And I know it's, a weird thing to say when you lose 26-6 in a prelim, but I was. I mean, we went toe-to-toe with, arguably the greatest team this sport has ever seen in one of the biggest games of the year, and we held our own. And I just think a few things go differently, play a little bit smarter. I think we all thought maybe that the rain was going to help us. In the end, I think it did hinder us a little bit more than them. So, yeah, just like to get that close and after a pretty good year and the adversity we've had and winning that finals game and Nico thing, all that stuff combined, I think I'm still pretty proud of him, but disappointed, I think, would be my overall sentiments.
So just looking up the score, I should know it off by heart. But in 2008, we lost the prelim to Melbourne 28-0. That felt absolutely horrible. Don't worry about the Wi-Fi there, Joshy. That felt terrible. And this felt nothing like that, and it was 26-6. So
yep.
I'm with you. I'm not usually, when we have such a good team like we have had in the last 3 years, good coaching, the whole thing, I'm not really one of those people that jumps in I'm so proud, we did good, it's okay to lose. But in this case, you kind of have to have those feelings. There's no other feelings to have. Like, they did probably better than we thought they would against Penrith. We're a little bit frustrated because, as you hinted at, that it looked like we could have gone on with things, and they didn't. And that sucks. When you were talking about the wet weather, Josh, did you say that it hindered them more or us?
No, it hindered us more, but I think when it was...
Are you saying because of the errors?
Yeah, because I think throughout the week I was like, this is going to help us. Like, it's going to slow things down. They're not going to play as expansive, play it through the middle. And I think in the end it hurt us more.
But are you saying the errors came because of the rain, or are you talking about just the fact that we played a different style?
No, I just like a lot of those unders balls that we threw and through those like crash balls that we play at the line, that you see that ball kind of slip out, that maybe it doesn't if it's not raining, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that as a reason as to why. Obviously, I understand where the football's harder to catch a ball, but I just sort of thought that's on us. Like I can't be sure we wouldn't have dropped the ball on a dry day. It looked like they were out of sorts with their attack for a large part of the game. So I'm not saying you're blaming the rain, but I probably wouldn't go there myself. I hadn't thought of it.
Yeah, I just think like watching it, like the few that stick out for me is the Kafusi drop at the line, and the unders one that when Nakora came under and he like dropped it kind of cold, like it just looked like it was that was a hindrance of sort. It's like, again, I'm not, like you said, I'm not suggesting that that's the reason we're dropping balls now, because we've done that all year. But I do think some of those passes that maybe we shouldn't have played, or if it's not raining, maybe we don't drop them. But maybe it did even it up, and that's why it was closer for longer. I'm not sure.
I kind of think when it rains, you get into that mindset of set for set, kick chase, and I think it actually helped us from that point of view. The drop ball, we'll never know. Do you think, Josh, and I've been batting on about it since Saturday night, do you think if we hold the ball for, say, so we made 15 handling errors, I think. If we make 8, do you think we win the game?
I don't know if we win the game, but it's not 26-6, because we get a lot of those opportunities that we gave them, and the ability for them to wear us down came from those errors. And a few of those times where we would get down there, we'd get a penalty, or we'd fight our way down into their half or their 20, and we'd drop it. So you just don't know what could have come of those, because I think we looked quite threatening with the ball when we got down there. I mean, we have all year. It was just a couple of those clutch moments, or a play that went wrong, or the pressure of it all kind of got to them a little bit, I think. And we started, I think, to play our best footy when we just said, you know what, let's just go hammer and tong. The kick across field for Tioni and some of the offloadings. We actually started to threaten them, but it was just too late.
I kind of wish that after the second half started, I thought that was a real danger period, and we actually hung on pretty good.
Yeah.
So say the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the second half. I also would have loved, and I actually expected to see them get more expansive, i.e. the Nico kick, etc. I expected that to be almost from the 41st minute, because you are playing catch-up football. Now, maybe once it blew out to that the first try in the second half, maybe that was the time to do it. I'm not sure. I can see from a coaching point of view how you just say, no, stick to your point of view for as much as you can. I get that. But I kind of expected them just to sort of go for it. And I think in the future, I'd rather see them go for it than just do the set for set thing, and it's not really working for you. Like the try they scored was a miracle from Katoa, and it was always going to take something else to crack them, and we went with them like we were in it. But yeah, I just wish those trick shots would have come a little bit earlier, because I mean, remember the game against the Roosters, were going nuts from the start. I know you can't do that against Penrith, but I think when there's nothing left to lose, you got half a game to go, you're behind, Penrith are going pretty good, you're going okay, I think that's the time to do it.
Well, I guess that was going to be one of my questions to you, was whether hindsight or not. You have two decisions to make when you verse Penrith or the Storm. You say, okay, we're just going to absolutely go for it. From minute one, you throw everything you've got at them, trick balls, offloading, early kicks, or you say we're going to go for them for 80 minutes. We're going to go with them for 80 minutes, and you try and grind it out. What, in hindsight, do you think, or do you think you would have preferred to go hammer and tong from minute one and just let's have a crack and see what we can do, or we were happy to stick with them for as long as we did?
I kind of think that was both scenarios in the same thing, Josh. I think they went for it, not with the trick shots, but they physically were giving everything they could. Like you could see they were not holding back. And they went set for set, as you said. I think if the reverse happens and we have the 15-day turnaround and they don't, I think we might get them. If you watch some of the tries back in the second half, our boys are just barely able to move. And it's not out of lack of effort. It's not out of lack of caring. There was a couple of guys who I circled and I went, oh, this doesn't look good. But then I thought about it, and it's like you've played a whole season. I understand that this is do or die. The fans need you to move, but it was a shorter turnaround. The other mob had 15 days. They're pretty fresh, aside from Cleary, who has had a whole bunch of time off, even though he's still injured. You could just see our guys they lack that second wind. So I think if we had the longer gap, I reckon we come home stronger. And we've seen us come home strong against most teams this year. I just think it was just that one game too far. Maybe that second week took it out of us. So,
and a lot of them looked injured too. Like a lot of our boys. Like Bronny looked really hurt. Sione was hurt. Siffer went off. Like Jesse wasn't there.
Yes. Yes. So, and I think, even though it's a different thing to hindsight, I think that next year when Fanua Blake's there, it's just a hungrier looking team. It's a meaner looking team. So I'm glad we went there. I'm glad the performance we gave. I think from that performance, you learn heaps. You learn what to 100%. Do, not what to do. Like maybe they go, hey, remember last year we were down by 10 at half time against Penrith. We're playing the Storm in a prelim now. We're down by 10. What should we do? Well, last year we did this. Let's do, you know what? Play 2. Let's do a trick shot. Like, maybe you see something different. And I just think that it's just another good experience for us to have. Like, I know we're 3 years in and people are already getting tired going, come on. But when you say to me, come on, I go, well, hang on. We're one game away from a grand final. That's not too bad.
Exactly.
So if they keep learning, keep improving, which they have each year, you'd think the next thing is a grand final. That's a lot of pressure to put on a team for next year, but that's what we're kind of aiming for, right? And I think if Fanua Blake's there, I think that, if Nico's try isn't disallowed early on, I think a lot of things change. It's one of those games where you look back and you go, this is pretty interesting to watch on replay because there are a bunch of things that could have gone our way. Now, to be fair, it's been revealed that they had a try disallowed that was, by all means, a try. So that brings another storyline out. But we can only base on what happened, and I was pretty happy with how they played. Aside from the drop ball, was disgraceful, man. I can't get away from that. Wet weather, not wet weather. You got to be more. I don't want to say hungry. You got to be more desperate to get through your work. Like it was at times. Yeah, like, Royce's last game, like one of his last moments was throwing a stupid offload. It's like, come on, bro, you're better than this.
And isn't that funny that I think that's how he started his year, was doing an offload exactly the same way? Like that little trying to pop it over the top and falling to the ground and the other team getting it, and he finishes his career with this exact same way.
And, we love him. We wish him all the best. I hope to have a beer with him over summer, whatever. I would love him to stay, but you look at that and go, maybe there's something in that.
We didn't need it at the time. I remember that was such I think we just got a penalty.
The thing is, tackle, he knew it. Yeah. He knew it, and he was actually trying to create something, and for that, I can't fault him, but not to do it. So, little moments like that. There was a bunch of Toby stuff. There was a whole bunch of guys. It wasn't 2 guys. And I was really frustrated by that sitting there because we were watching it with, I was with TK, we had great seats, and it was like, we can actually do this. We're actually getting somewhere. It was 2-2. Man, how good's that? Beautiful. Let's go. We love this. 2-2. We got a few tries in us. But the possession and the errors just really cost us. Like the 40-20. We got to be better than that. Katoa and Kennedy need to be better than that. I know that it's hard because, a winger's got to be in 2 different places at once. I get it. But you just got to handle it better. Like, I know that's a big statement, Josh, but that turned the game.
Yeah, I'll cut them a little bit of slack because it was like the 3rd tackle.
I get it.
We were absolutely dominating that set 2, which is the most frustrating part. They were going nowhere, and then Cleary just absolutely ices like a pin, like centimeter perfect 40-20. Like
So
It's hard to
so
defend that.
our line has to be quicker. Our line has to be better. Blake has to see it coming. Like someone had to know it was coming. They study this. They're professional athletes. I get it. He's a freak. I get it. I know I'm not blaming Sione, but I'm saying that changed the game, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it's frustrating again because
That came off an error, yeah?
Well, I think it was not long after that Trindle's missed out by what, like maybe minutes earlier, and then Cleary just goes bang and just nails it.
Yeah.
Maybe the next set. I can't remember exactly, but it was not long after.
Yeah.
I mean, an incredible effort from Edwards to get there, and also for Taruva to be in the state of mind to come back and protect it, because Sione was going to score if Taruva wasn't there. Edwards was out of the picture. Like
he was.
I
also want to give Sione a massive shout out. I thought he was like close to our best player.
I agree. I think he was really strong, and considering he was absolutely injured,
something was
even
going
more
on.
so after that end of the game, he came back and he was absolutely gone. I mean,
Yeah.
Ronnie was gone as well. He was really struggling with that knee. I guess that's why another aspect of why I'm so proud of them is that it would have been so easy to give up. It would have been so easy to go, this is too hard. It's raining. It's Panthers. We're 2 tries behind now. They didn't give up. Then that's I can cop that. I can cop being a better team beating us.
Yes.
It's just when they don't try, or there's no effort, whatever.
I guess I have that bittersweet thing, Josh, happening where it's like, proud, brave, great defense, teamwork, but didn't give up.
Yeah.
No, but still, why can't you hold the ball as a group, not one guy? Like, I can't get past it, dude.
And it's been 3 years of that.
Yeah. But I'm only really looking at the last game and the most important game of the year. So I don't expect them to be perfect, but I need them to be near perfect when you're playing in that game, and that was the only way they were going to win. It was the only way. And if they're near perfect, I reckon they win. I keep saying that, and people are like, maybe. And I'm like, no. I just feel like they would have been on top.
I agree. Excuse me. I would probably do have to just quickly mention, at least from my end, Nathan Cleary.
Sure.
Unbelievable. That guy is just something else. If he doesn't play, we win. It's 3 try assists, a line break, 2 line break assists, a 40-20, 4 out of 5 goals. The guy's got one shoulder.
Yeah.
And he's turning that on. It's incredible.
Yeah, he's a very good player. There's no doubt about that. And at the moment, we don't have anyone in our team who's even close. But then again, most of the other teams don't. Unless you got a Munster or someone, you probably don't. So, he was the difference. I thought we actually handled their middles really well for most of the game. So stuff like that was really impressive. And that's why you and I are not down on these guys. They really aimed up. I mean, I thought Penrith kept our second rowers really quiet, and that was another reason why we didn't win. But that wasn't on the second rowers. That was on Penrith being really good at that. I thought they almost lost the ruck, but they won the outside forward battle easily. And maybe that's what they want to do because they know Teague and Britton are so dangerous.
Well, I also think they shut down our back five. They knew everyone knows that that's our strength, and I thought they shut our outside backs down really well. Again, you got to consider the injuries and all that, but still, they did not let them get a sniff. Their kick chase is second to none, and they shut down a lot of those return yardage that we get out of all those guys. I mean, all their meters were quite down, except for probably Sione, who had over 150 meters, I think, but. That was a crucial part of the game plan that you could see they really wanted to hone in on shutting down that's where we get our momentum and our meters from.
Yeah.
And, Edwards and Toto and Taruva and Isaiah Yeo were all, 150, 200 meters each. That's the difference there as well.
Yeah. I was a little bit bummed that we didn't have the attacking kicks thing that we had against the Cowboys, which led to a lot of tries, and I thought that was more on us than them. I thought the kicking, it was okay from the halves, but we weren't really attacking that ball. But that again could have been through injuries to our guys. But I think that was a big difference.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw that again, like you mentioned before, with the Nico no try. Like that's where that opportunity came from. Was when Ronaldo got up there and got the hand,
Yeah.
just went forward.
Yeah.
That's, and I'd say like 7 or 8 times out of 10 he gets that going backwards, and Nico
Yeah.
falls over the line.
I don't know why that wasn't the go-to every time. If you can't crack the defense, kick that way and get your boys to attack them. Get Britton, get Teague involved, because the back three of Penrith, as amazing as they are, they're not very tall. So
Yeah.
I know that was part of the game plan. It probably just didn't eventuate, and that happens. I get that. But yeah, I was very happy with the way. Like, I'm not saying that our middles were amazing, but I think that we somehow shut down Leota and Fisher Harris for most of the game. Not all the game. Once the game blew out, they had a bit of fun, but that was pretty impressive to me. And yeah, just the courage they showed. They shut down our halves pretty well. I didn't think our halves were diabolical. I thought Trindle was the better of the two. I thought Hines actually had some okay touches despite all the criticism, although I will say I probably expected him to lift in the second half, and he kind of got quieter and quieter. What were your thoughts on the halves?
Yeah, it's hard because I think we did struggle to get out of our end at times, and it was like, okay, we've just got to boot the thing and get it down there. And I think that also played into the not being able to attack a lot of the kicks, because we tended to be kicking from our 40 or the 50-meter line. When we get into that 40 and 30 zone, that's where we really shine with the kicking. They're quite accurate closer, and that's when we get the tap backs and what have you. But yeah, I think they had, like you said, they both had some nice touches. Trindle, I agree, was the better of the two. We didn't give them enough opportunities, I think, or we dropped the ball before they really got to put their hands on the set. So it was a difficult one. But yeah, like you said, I think we just needed to try some things earlier. There was a few sets in a row where I was like, okay, it's fourth, we're on our 30 or our 40, put a shift in, put someone under, or like, let's try that early kick. And to their credit, they tried it a few times. Trindle put a really nice short kick in, and Toto somehow gets back there and catches it on the full. Not many guys can do that. And then, there's a few times where he put a good kick in and the chase was lacking, and they, the few times they made those big line breaks, they got him straight back into our zone.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because like I'm saying, I'm with you. They should have tried more, but then historically, if they've tried more and it goes wrong, then we're saying, well, they're handing the ball over on the 20-30. You can't do that against Penrith. So I actually respect the game plan they went with, but then I think you got to flip it. And I think maybe we're just as a team, as a club, as a team, we're not at that stage yet where we're like your Penriths, even your Roosters and Storm, where in those big moments on the big stage, they can flip the storyline,
someone comes up with something,
and make it work. I'm not talking about like a freak trick play, but as a team, kind of shift from what they're doing to plan B. Like, they've shown there's a plan B throughout the year from time to time. But in this game, I think it was all a bit too much for them. I don't think they were overwhelmed. I thought they handled it really well. I thought that was evident in the first 60 minutes. Like, I know they dropped the ball a lot, but it wasn't out of nerves. I think it was just bad football, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that impressed me too, that the fact they went out there and held their own against what is probably the best, 4 or 5 years for a club in history. So there is a lot to like about it. There's some to not like about it as well. We know fans have been reacting in different ways. We'll get to all of our mail in another episode. There is a lot of mail. It's not all bad. Some of it's quite positive. What are you taking away from this, Josh, from the game? What are your thoughts? What are you taking away from it?
My biggest takeaway is that it was 12-6 with like 17 minutes to go.
Is that right? Wow.
It was penalty goal, 2-2. Then it's 8-2, 10-2 at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Then we score 15 minutes, 19 minutes after, missed the goal. So it's 12-6. You're in the game up to your eyeballs with 20 minutes to go, or less than 20 minutes to go.
Yeah.
That's the big takeaway for me, is that it was there, man. Like, it wasn't the scoreline really flat. And I said this multiple times, the scoreline really flat as Penrith.
Absolutely. I've had a lot of Penrith people at the ground, and also people I know in life, and even I've had a bit of feedback online, just people saying, you know what, your boys really gave it to ours, and you should be excited about the future. And I reply, yeah, I am excited and thanks, but you're right. Like as I said, 28-0, 2008, dude. I thought it was the end of my life. I thought this is just, why are we rugby leaguing anymore? Why are we doing this? But this 26-6, it's like, let's go again next year. Let's go get them in Vegas and let's go because yeah, they showed a lot of fight, man. That's, as you and I say most weeks, if you show a lot of fight, there's not a whole lot more to do aside from execute, of course, which they couldn't do. But imagine if they didn't show fight. Imagine the storylines. Imagine you and I, it would be chaos.
I mean, yeah, like it could have easily been like 40-0. Yeah. Like that easily could have been a 40-0 type game. And it wasn't.
The betting blew out to, I think, maybe 5-10 or something at kickoff for head to head. All the pundits obviously went for them by a bit. And there's no argument from Sharks fans. Like, well, yeah, we're not really sure what's going to happen here. Like, we didn't know. So yeah, well done to them. You know what? Deep down, I actually did know they'd put in a fight. Deep down, I did know they were prepared for it as much as they can. The injuries really threw us. Like during the week, we got word that, and we weren't, to be perfectly honest with everyone, we weren't allowed to say it, which is fine. But we knew that Jesse was a long shot. We also knew that Iro had a sore calf. That was all foxing. He didn't have a sore arm. Everyone's saying he's got a sore bicep. There's nothing wrong with his bicep. Look at his calf.
His calf was strapped. Yeah.
Yeah. And that affected him. And he had a good game, but that affected him, you could see. And no Ramian affected us. Talakai in the centres affected us, even though there was good and not so good. But also
he was unfit too.
Yeah.
He was hurt as well.
Katoa was injured. Ronaldo looked injured. So once all that started piling up, it did become a bit of a problem because they were pretty fresh. And for whatever reason, they didn't click into gear until, 63rd minute. So we did great. And we're obviously looking for more, though. We want to get the win. We want to go to the grand final. We want to win the whole thing. So it was a bit surreal, Josh. Like when I got there, it was like, we're actually 80 minutes from a grand final, 80 minutes from playing the Storm, like we knew at that point. And then you were thinking about the 2016 part 2 would have been amazing. And being there in the crowd, you just, that whole, I can't stress how much I love playing finals away from Shark Park. And I'm not saying don't play them there, and I'm not saying I don't enjoy them there. I'm saying I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed the 2 games this year away from Shark Park in a final scenario. Big time feel, big stadium, lights are up, crowds are out, let's go. Like, it's pretty exciting. And just walking in, I was like, I really want to do this next week. Like, I really want to come back. And it wasn't meant to be, but weird crowd, man. It was like 33,000, and it was pretty 50-50. I don't know if Penrith fans were just waiting for that extra week, or they couldn't afford, because it's quite an expensive ticket. You couldn't afford both or whatever. You had a budget. And, if you're a Penrith fan, you're used to going to grand finals. So I don't know what the story was, but there wasn't much more of them than there was of us.
I'm pretty sure from all reports that we sold more tickets.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's out there, or you can find it. And
even that though, Josh, I have to say, like, if you split it approximately 60-40 or 55-45, it's still probably only 17,000, 18,000 Sharks fans. And we saw against the Cowboys a crowd of 35,000. We saw at the grand final, we had probably, 78,000 there.
Yeah.
This was, this was under 19,000, I would say, of us. And I don't know if people had that sense of doom and gloom that we weren't going to go past this game. We're going to lose.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But I will say that I think Sharks fans need to, and I put this with a asterisk next to it, if you can afford it, if you can get out there, you get the time, you're able. I think Sharks fans got to pull the finger out a little bit, because I thought that was pretty evident that it's impressive. There's a bunch of us here, but I'm sure there's more people listening and watching the TV shows and, who are subscribing to whatever that go for the Sharks that aren't here in this city. And that was, it got me thinking a little bit.
Well, there was some data that came out today that I saw that, according to this report, we have about 238,000 fans.
Yeah.
And that was increased by about, I think it was like 8% or something from last year. So we were,
Cool.
I think it was at 217,000 last year.
Yeah.
I don't know how the metrics work of that, but I think,
Yeah.
I mean, it's fairly rough but accurate.
Yeah.
So where are those fans? I know we're strewn about all over the world, and we got, we know we have fans for this show that listen, all the way around, all the way to Mars, Jupiter.
Yes.
Like we've got them everywhere.
Yes.
But
I met a bunch of them last week, I got to say, Josh, as well at the game. So thanks to everyone I met. I met a whole bunch. They were asking about you too. And I said he's in Newcastle. He's had about 38 million beers, which is about 2 more than my friend here, TK, next to me. But anyway, maybe next year if they play a opponent they think that we're going to win against, maybe that's what it's going to take. I don't know.
I do think that's what it was, Sam.
Yeah.
It was the Panthers thing. It was raining. It was the Panthers. No one gave us a chance in the media, which I do think sways maybe the people who are quite sitting on the fence or not sure about going.
I got it pretty wrong because I thought that Sharks fans love a prelim. Even if you look at the 08 game we've been talking about way too much, I'm pretty sure there was...
It was packed.
25, 30 at least there. I need to double check that, but it was more packed than the Cowboys game at least the other week. And I don't know, maybe fans had that Shark Park thing in their mind too, even though this was never going to be at Shark Park. But anyway, maybe it's worth probably spending too much time on it than we need to, but that was just something I noticed. But also noticeable was that there were lots of Penrith fans there, but yeah, the stadium was not even close to half full. So, interesting one. It's still great vibe, great atmosphere.
I think they're actually struggling for the grand final this week too.
Really?
Looking at the ticket sales, like it's not going amazingly at the moment. I'm sure they'll end up getting close, but it's looking a little grim at the moment. From what I
wonder,
have read,
I wonder if all honesty, and I don't want to get too politically, I wonder if people are getting outpriced for if they can't afford it.
Well, it's not cheap. It's like the cheapest seats are.
It's not cheap, dude.
Expensive.
Yeah.
And as like the Panthers in Melbourne, who I don't want to speak for them, but they're kind of used to this in a way. Maybe it's not as special. I don't know. Like,
I got that vibe. I got that vibe last week about Penrith, but I don't think that would put someone off going to a grand final. I just thought the people that were there, they were pretty amped, but also it was almost like they were used to it. They expected it, which was very annoying, actually. Whereas, I mean, if you're coming from Melbourne, it's going to cost you a bunch more. I get all that. But yeah, I don't know. These are pretty tough times. So if you are struggling, the last thing you're going to be able to do is go to a game of footy with 4 family members or whatever. We'll see. I think they'll get there. I think if the NRL have to hand them out, they will. I don't think they want to.
Yeah.
They don't want empty seats. So, but anyway, that's not our problem anymore. That's our problem next year. But yeah, hopefully next year we can just get more of a buzz happening because it was fun. Like, it was fun being there. It was fun. Obviously at Allianz, that was great. But anyway, yeah, Sharks are over in the NRL. Thankfully, we've got some more games happening, Josh. We've got New South Wales Cup are playing in the Super Bowl, so to speak. So they won the premiership last week, which was awesome. Really exciting game. Went down to the wire.
It was great. And
we have, of course, the NRLW team who had an outstanding game against Brisbane, Josh. It was just epic. Like, to keep Brisbane to 0, to keep Brisbane from going to a grand final. They've already been in 3 or 4 of them. And coming off some pretty average form for the Sharks over the last 3 weeks. They kind of surprised me, and it was really great to watch. I'm really proud of them. It's going to be really exciting. I hope they can go all the way. Tough game against the Chooks, though. Chooks are very, very good.
They're very good.
So the Sharkies are going to have to be really on their game for the 70 minutes. But I'm looking forward to it. There was a meet and greet at the ground tonight, and they did a whole bunch of media this afternoon as well. And they're getting their just deserves, the Sharks NRLW team. And Flag team lost in a heartbreaker. They were trailing most of the game, I believe, and that wasn't their day to have, but still some really good performances, some really good kids coming through, which I believe you'll see in the top grade, hopefully our grade, in our club, I should say. But yeah, not all doom and gloom, that's for sure. Did you catch any of the lower grades, Josh?
So I missed the young boys. I missed all that
Mhm.
because I was driving home, nursing a slight hangover.
Yeah.
Caught most of the Sharks, the girls. Caught probably the last maybe 30 minutes. They were really strong,
Mm.
really good defensively. I thought. Um, it's still as clunky as it was in round one for the attack for mine. Still a little. They're not quite finding the the silkiness that I think they
There's a
should have.
bit of positional change from week to
Yeah, I
week.
know it's been tough, like losing our superstar fullback and Tonegata going back to fullback, and they've
Yeah.
had a few injuries here and there. So I know it's been tough, but I just still finding that they haven't really clicked yet, which is positive because if they click, they're going to win. Like it's straight
Yeah.
up. Like if they pull it together,
Yeah.
they'll win. So that's really exciting, and hopefully they save their best for last because they have struggled the last few weeks, and I didn't really give them much of a chance against the Bronx because they got some really
Mm.
good players. But credit to them, and so we should be in a grand final. We deserve to be in
Yeah.
more than one this year for how good the club's going across
Well,
the
but I
board.
think them especially, they out of all the grades, I think to be honest, I know they had a form slump, but they actually, for me, were the success story. Like I'm not knocking the NRL team who went one game before a grand final, but it was so up and down. With NRLW, it was up, down, now we're back up. You know, and I know it's a shorter season. I get all that. I'm not making light of that, but I'm actually super glad that. I mean, I would love the NRL team to be there. We all know that, but I'm super glad the NRLW team is at the elite level of a grand final. They're going to get a lot of, press and praise this week. A lot of great stories around, and hopefully they can just go on with it, and that would be tremendous, absolutely tremendous.
And I think
Yeah,
my two favorite players of the year, Biddle and Penatani, stood up as well, which is really like they're just my absolute favorites. I love watching them play.
you're a centers guy.
I'm a centers guy. I mean, especially with the girls, like every time they get the ball, I'm like, what's going to happen? Like something
They're
exciting has
both
happened. Yeah,
they're both exceptional and slightly different players. One is complete power based. The other one has a lot of power, but a bit more silk to the way she plays as well. And
just through the hips, Penatani, like they
yeah,
just cannot get her on the ground.
yeah,
She's so powerful and just shrugs people off for fun as well as being really silky.
yeah. But yeah, hopefully they can go all the way, and it'd be good for the coach Tony Herman as well, who's been going about his business for a long time now in the lower grades at different levels. So we wish him all the best, and that'll be sometime on Sunday. Josh, is it? I'm assuming it's before the NRL game, yeah.
Yes, I think they play. I don't know if the girls play first or if the Super Bowl plays first.
They might have switched around. I think NRLW would get the more prime time.
I
Got a
think
feeling.
that should be. Yeah.
Check your local guides anyway. Josh, before we get going, because we are going to do more episodes throughout summer, we promise you that. We're going to do season reviews, we're going to do player reviews, we're going to talk about everything you want us to talk about and everything you don't want us to talk about. We'll definitely do Christmas. We're going to have interviews, we're going to go nuts for all of you. But let's talk about the season in just short bursts. We don't want to reveal our whole thoughts here, but grade it for me. He talked to me about how we went, like NRL. One game before a grand final to me screams success, but is that reality?
No, I'm absolutely in the camp that I think even a week two, after a long year of football, a week two is a successful year. A prelim, it's if you want to grade it out of 10, I give it a 9. I think you're 80 minutes away from the pinnacle of the sport. Like this isn't soccer where you finish first and you win. Like you've got to play an extra few games. They're the hardest ones of the year. Everyone's busted. I like prelims for me. It's almost as good as you can get. Like besides that grand final appearance or grand final win, that's where you want to be every year. You give yourself a chance to play.
Yeah, it's funny because we don't make prelims every year. And as fans, you can count them on one or two hands, depending on your age, maybe three. But yeah, last time was 18. Then it was 16. Then it was
08.
08. Before that, it was 02, 01, 99. Like, you know what I mean? So we know them. And I think we're headed for more. I think we are getting to that Johnny Lang period of. I think Fitzgibbon's going to put you there or thereabouts, and he kind of like puts his hands up and goes, "Well,
You got to do it now.
if you guys had held the ball, I mean, that's me talking for him. He might not say that, but that's how I look at it. I'm like, if people are saying, "Well, Fitzgibbon should have done this or that," he got them to the prelim. He got them in the mood where they went out and went set for set with the best club we've ever seen. What more can he do? Well, he shouldn't have played that guy there. Well, you know what? He did, and it worked for 60 minutes. So I think he's going to put us in that nice little place every year, and it's up to the players to just lift and do what they got to do. Hopefully they're healthy. But I think we're getting into that kind of, John Lang territory where you and I can kind of expect a prelim a week 2 most years. And if it's not, then I think there's some issues.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm giving 9. Maybe a lot of people think that's an overrating. But then if we didn't make the finals or we're out in week 1, I would have probably given it a 7 or a 6 because I expect this team to be fighting in prelims. Like this is my standard, but I also probably maybe didn't expect it 5, 6, 7 weeks ago. Like, do I actually think we could get a prelim? Probably not. And the fact that we did really surpassed my expectations, I think.
And I can't dispute your number because that's your thought, that's your opinion. I want to go less because I think of the Warriors game. I think of the Tigers game. There's 2, 3, 4 games where you just go, no, you boys really mucked that up. Now, that's me talking about a 30 game season. So even then, it's less than a quarter of games played that you mucked up. So I don't even need to give you a grade. We'll talk about that over the coming weeks. But I'm with you. Like a really successful season, and I think if just a few things go our way, because I mean, if we beat the Warriors, doesn't our whole thing change? Don't we not play Penrith to the grand final or whatever?
See, I don't love thinking in that terms because then you could say that for everyone. You could say like if the Roosters didn't lose a game, it gets into that little point. murky point. Of like, And I think with the season, with you saying like we dropped the Warriors and we dropped the Tigers and what have you, we had some poor games. Again, I think everyone kind of has those. Like the Storm probably lost a game or two they shouldn't have, and the
Panthers. Really.
It's like
not really.
Well, I mean, realistically, we lost 3 more games than Melbourne. We lost 1 more game than the Panthers. Do you know what I mean? So like, I think it all kind of evens out, and I'm more of like the end goal guy, and it's like if we stumbled along the way and still got to a prelim or a grand final, those kind of things kind of wash away for me a little bit. I'm not saying that it doesn't matter. Like I completely validate like what you're saying. We shouldn't have lost those games, but then we won those games. Some games we shouldn't have. So I do think it all balances out and it comes out in the wash, like at the end of season.
I'm with you that if you get to a prelim, A, it's a successful year, but also B, anything can happen. Like I understood that we were playing the hardest team in forever. Like we got them. That was just, people on the internet going, oh, it's a Sharks luck just to get them. It's like, well, no, that's just how it worked out. It's nothing to do with luck or bad luck. But I also concede that it's a prelim. It's 2 teams. You're 17 guys. They got 17 guys. Go out and play without fear, as we say. Like, so I was all on board to win the game. So I'm not saying you beat West Tigers and then things get easier in a prelim. In a prelim, you're playing someone. I just wonder if we might have played at Allianz and if it might have been against someone else. But as you say, the someone else might have beaten someone else, and it could go on forever, this whole argument. So, yeah.
I guess at the end of the day, though, like realistically, you're going to have to verse if not all 3 of those teams, 2 of them to make a grand final.
Yeah. Like, so I was pointing that out to a few people pre-game who were very much talking about the Penrith situation. I was like, well, it would have been, if not them, it would have been Melbourne. If not Melbourne, it might have been you got to play someone good in the prelim usually, right? So
you're not going to get the Tigers, you know what I mean? Like it's like that's not how it works. Like
in 2016, we had to beat JT and Tamalolo and
Cam Smith and Munster.
Yeah, all that. Well, yeah. But even in a prelim, I'm saying we had to go through JT, and it wasn't easy. So, yeah, I'm with you. It was a really successful season. We will explore this throughout many episodes. Don't worry about that. Before we go, Josh, breaking news: Jack Williams. We believe it's not completely official, but we believe he's signed to Parramatta for 3 years, starting next year. And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it kind of blindsided me. I was like walking out of the gym and I opened Twitter and the first thing I see is Jack Williams' face and Parramatta. I'm like, oh, like just did not see that coming at all. And especially, a couple of days after the prelim. But I am sad because Jack's been part of the furniture now for a number of years. You could be maybe six. This could have been his 6th year. So I've always loved him. I've always defended him when things weren't going well. I think he's had more good than bad at the club.
Mm-hmm.
He's had some absolutely outstanding world-class games for us. He's had some not so good games as well. But I am sad to see him go. But I've been really thinking about it and trying to come to an understanding of why it's happened. And I think there's just too many cooks in the kitchen in that forward department at the moment. And I think we've got so many guys to re-sign who are above the pecking order that his money is probably just maybe a little better spent in other ways. We've got to keep Trindle. We've got to keep Nakora.
Yeah.
There's an Atkinson discussion needs to be had there. And I just think he's probably someone that we could have afforded to lose that was on probably a decent, I'm not sure, maybe 300, 400. It's a decent contract. And I wish him nothing but the best. I really hope he goes well in Parramatta and gets a starting spot and is successful besides when he versus us.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate on what he was on, but I think it was a bit more than what you just mentioned. So
okay.
It would be something more significant than that. And for him to be re-signed, it would be either the same or a bit more. He wouldn't take less. So I think I'm correct in saying, if you're saying it was 6 seasons, give or take one either side, whatever, at least 2 of those seasons he was our best forward. Well, and other seasons like this year, he was looking like it. He kind of took a step off. I think that he's done way more good than bad. Obviously, the bad is the handling stuff. We get that. And there was some somewhat costly ones. The one against the Warriors. Again, I'm not going to blame him for the loss, but the last try came a result from that error, which he wasn't completely at fault with, by the way. Jackie's a hard-working dude. He's a guy who looks after his body immaculately, from diet through to exercise through to lifestyle. He knows that body is his meal ticket. That's why he does it. I'm not saying he doesn't love the game, but he's just so professional. So there's lots of great attributes about him. I think the reason I'm going to be okay with it is the fact that the coaching staff are letting him go, and there's got to be a reason that they're not happy with. And it would be nothing bad, nothing sinister. It would be just there's someone else in the pipeline. There's someone coming through. His money could be spent on 2 other guys, as you said, or 1 guy. So there are reasons why they didn't keep him. And at the end of the day, I think I'm going to be okay with that. I think he'll be great for Para. I think he's a really great player. We know about the errors. We can't hide them. He can't hide them. If he's played, what's he played, Josh? 140 games, 110 games. He would have made costly errors in maybe, 5, 10 at the most. Like it's nothing out of control. It's more just we remember those moments, which sucks because, as I said, the majority of his work's been really good. And it really annoys me when people use those names for him because it's just like, be smarter, be more intelligent, use your brain. Yeah, we've seen him drop some balls. How many tackles you seen him make? How many meters you seen him make?
Exactly.
For 2 years, as you and I said, and we can't be proven wrong. For 2 years, at least, he was our best forward. And that's while other guys are getting paid more money, getting more time. So all I'm saying is I wish him all the best, and I think I'm okay with him going. I don't think it'll necessarily come back to bite us, but I do think he'll have some success.
I had a Parramatta fan ask me early today, what are your thoughts on this? What's he like? And I said, to sum up, that if we had 6 years, I said he had 2 elite years, he had 2 poor years, and he had 2 good years. And I think that's a pretty fair assessment that overall he was positive for us, and I think he's a good player. I said you'll really come to like him. You'll get frustrated at times with a few errors and a few defensive decisions, but overall you're going to love him. And he's going to work his backside off for you. And to your point about why they think he's leaving, well, I think it's Jesse Colquhoun. I think that's the answer.
Hopefully, yeah.
And I think the club severely backing Jesse to come good and be that guy. Maybe not this year, but next year. But he did the ACL in July. I checked; it was like mid-July, so he'll be back. If it's 9 months, he'll be back in April. He could be back in the first grade side by round 15. You know, depending on how the recovery goes and a few Reggie's games. Like, I think he's the guy.
That's a bit later than what I thought. Unfortunately, for me, for my thinking.
I'm only going with. I
believe you.
I'm factoring complication and some reserve grade in that. Yeah. So that was probably the outer end of it, maybe around 10, but we'll get a lot out of him next year, and I have nothing.
I think player for player, absolutely. I just hope that the pin stays good and the other pin's fine, and he gets because he's really had a bad streak, and he's only young, thank God. But
he's 22, yeah.
But you can't keep doing that every year for lots of different reasons. So I'm with you. I believe player for player, he absolutely can replace him. We've seen him play some really great NRL time as well. So
and we're strong there, right? We're strong and like and when I say strong, I mean we've got guys that can do a job. In the meantime, Aiden Fanua-Blake's coming is going to steal minutes off benches anyway.
If my mate Hamlin Newelly can get match fit, we're laughing.
Yeah.
I watched him play for the Jets, some big minutes. He was good. He scored a try. Good. Now, he just needs to get it to an NRL level. I was explaining to someone today about what I think the situation is, and it's not him being punished or stood down. They legitimately want him because he's had so many injuries. We know he didn't have an off season. He came back. He's had like a couple of injuries throughout the year, and he can't stay at that NRL level because of the injuries. So that's why he went back to the Jets. It wasn't a classic being stood down, you're in bad form. It was like, well, your body's not really up for it. For whatever reason, the body's up for New South Wales Cup. If he can get it right, and he's got a long time to get it right over summer, we are in a good spot if he can stay fit. We know the big fella coming over will be fine. If Kaufusi can do what he's doing, that's 3 really good props. Now, it's up to you, Ellie, not up to him, but it's up to him and his body to get it right and not have bad luck, as I say, whatever else. But if he can be the Hamlin Ueli we love, that's a big component we didn't have this year, Josh. Big. Like, I would love to have seen him out there playing against Penrith, ripping in.
Yeah. I don't want to go too far advanced, but just if I can probe your Sharks brain, if everyone's fit, everyone's at their peak, who starts with Adam Fanua-Blake for you next year?
I think it's Hamlin Ueli if he's fit. If he's the one that we remember, and I'm backing him because he's got all summer long, you know? And it's not like he's not trying now. And his attitude's been awesome playing for the Jets. He hasn't been sulking or anything. So, and let's not forget, he's on good money. So it's in the club's best interest to get it right. I really think he can be an amazing starter for us. And, I mean, I think Kaufusi suits being a starter more now.
Yes.
But either way, you can make it work. If one starts, the other's on the bench. That's fine. But I think that that's something we don't talk about enough, the fact that he was missing for a large part of the year. Like, he was in our plans. He was our starting prop. He was probably going to be our best prop. And we didn't really see him. So, you know, to get
Fanuka and Jesse Colquhoun also, we've got to remember, we lost 3, guys that would have been playing first grade arguably every week.
So to get to a prelim without those guys, that's a big effort. You know, and to be fair, it's a big effort to all the guys, to Rudolph, to Kaufusi, to all the middles. It's a big job. They hung in there. They They didn't perform particularly great from time to time, but, got us to a prelim. So I think next year will obviously be a lot better, and maybe that's a reason why Jack's going as well. Don't leave out Big Tuku. I think he can still be a fantastic player for us. I really do. I'm hoping that they're just letting him buy his time, get the runs on the board. Because we've seen him be destructive in first grade over small stints. So I would love to see him. And maybe he takes Royce Hunt's position, for example, with the short stints off the bench. Maybe that's his job now. So, excuse me. Sorry, YouTube can't edit that one out. But it's not all doom and gloom. So,
and just with Jack's contract again with the money,
yes.
Where's that priority for you over the off season? We've got a lot of guys that we need to re-sign.
I think you've got to sign the half, right?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. Like it's
so. I honestly, I would not be going up to the figures that they're talking about, and obviously the club will try and go as low as they can because they're a club. But he's going to get a significant increase. But I also think, and it might be wishy-washy Sam thinking, but I think that he'll probably stay for a little bit less to stay with the club that he loves and the players he loves. I really do.
I hope so.
Can't guarantee it, but
it's the same as that Ronaldo thing of that draw of going back home that worries me.
Yeah.
But he seems like a pretty loyal guy, very popular in the group. The fans love him, and we gave him the opportunity. We've nurtured him for years. We've put a lot of time into him.
It's one of those things, Josh, where, and for all the listeners, I don't claim to be friends with these guys. I don't even know some of them, or I might know them, they might not know me. But I do get to have a very close look at them in their own habitat, so to speak. And Trindle does not look out of place in Cronulla at training with the guys. Like, he's as popular as any one of them, and he gets on well with, there's no, when I'm there, they're not pining to go home. I know that's a stupid statement because when you pine to go home, it's when you're at home at 3 a.m. and you're alone and with your own thoughts. I get all that. But I just think out of all the players, he might be the one that goes, I'm getting a significant increase here. Maybe there's incentives to bump it up even more. I'm going to stick around and I'm going to lead this team around. Now, Ronaldo Militalo, Will Kennedy, some other players. We saw Britt go to market a few years ago. I mean, maybe that won't be the case. But I think with Trindle, he's young. It could go the other way. The Broncos might go, here's $1 million. I don't know. But I just think there is something there with Fitzgibbon. I think the fact that we gave him that second chance, we really got him out of a lot of trouble, dude. Like the club, from Dino to Craig to Mooney to the welfare guys and girls, they absolutely, and I don't say this a lot about the club sometimes, but they were A+ in how they handle that. Like, perfect. So hopefully he remembers that. There's a lot of guys off contract though, Josh. I think we're going to lose some. I do think we're going to lose some.
Do you think that's a bad thing necessarily?
No.
I think
there's always a plan. There's always another player. Life goes on. I've learnt that the hard way. But it's hard though because I think we're going to see a change in the 3 quarters, and I don't know who it's going to be. I think it'll be either the fullback or a winger in particular that might either get the offer or get the push or something. This is just mere speculation, but this is how I'm looking at it moving forward because you cannot keep them all. But then the flip side of that is they might go, you know what, our back five is our money ticket. Let's not do that. Insert other player you got to go. Like I don't know. The Dan Atkinson thing's interesting because he's not on much money at all, and he could get more money elsewhere. So if we let him go, it doesn't free up a lot of the cap. So he'd have to get a pretty significant offer, I reckon, to leave. Because if we bumped him up a little bit and going, you want us a match, we'll give you a bit more money. You can be our benchy, whatever, our Mr. Fix-It. I don't think it would take a whole lot of money to do that. But as I said, Madge Maguire might come in and go, I need another half or whatever. Here's $700,000 and he can't turn that down and he's from Brisbane or whatever. So it's a hard one, man, to sort of say who's going to go, who's not going to go. We've got players coming up. There's a lot of good talent signed to Cronulla coming up, whether it's guys on the cusp, so like a Chris Faiella or a Sam Stonestreet, even a Liam Ison, who I think's a little bit far away, but they're going to be on the cusp. Down to the young kids that we saw on the weekend, from your Pollards to 5'8" forward to the captain looks great to Big Felix. Like, there's a lot of talent there.
Yeah.
So,
and you can cash in there too. You can save a lot of money bringing those guys for that first year or two.
Absolutely you can. So it's going to be up to the coach and Mooney. That's why they're up on the big bucks to really work it out, because I can't work it out right now because I just can't work it out. And, then there's the other stuff like, do you keep the halves together or do you move the halves? Do you move the king of carrying bar? Do you keep him there? Like, we'll talk about this throughout summer, I promise, throughout spring and summer. But because, if Nico becomes your fullback, well, then you don't need Will Kennedy.
Yeah, I don't want that.
And then maybe Dan Atkinson's your half.
Nico at fullback really terrifies me. I got to be honest.
Why is that?
I don't think he's fast enough. I don't think he's agile enough. And I don't think he's good enough in the air under a high ball.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying do it.
Really worried. No, it's just, I just don't think he's a fullback anymore, like whatsoever.
I actually don't. I don't think there's a problem with our halves. I just think they need to work out who's going to own the moment and when. And then all the noise will go away. Because you can't make the noise go away about the money they're on. That's established. Nico Hines isn't going to give money back, and nor should he. But if you say to Trindle, you're running the show, you're the guy, like we saw against the Cowboys, and Nico's your fall guy, Nico's your Luai and you're your Cleary. You don't say that, but you work that out. Yeah. Then a lot of that goes away. I do, obviously, we've established the media have really gone nuts about this one. The fans have gone nuts about this one. I know a lot of fans thought that he was a little bit quiet, and he was. He was quiet in that second half. He looked pretty fatigued at times, I have to say. And maybe it's coming back coming back from the injury, 3 or 4 games into it, compared to other guys. I understand that. But I mean, I wonder if the coach is even going to think about it, or if we just go, no, we've got our team. Because as he said at the press conferences, I don't really listen to what other people say outside of my camp, Yeah. Like, he doesn't care what someone on a TV show thinks. He doesn't care what someone on a podcast thinks. You know what I mean? So I don't think he's staying up at night going, what am I going to do about Nico Hines? It's more, how can I make him be the best he can be? So it may not even be 1% of a problem for them. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Well, we saw in the first 10 weeks that they can do it.
Absolutely.
Like, we've seen it. It's not like, are they going to be able?
If you look at all of his, so he's had 3 seasons with us. So he's played around 65 games for us, give or take. How many of those has he starred in? How many has he been really good in, and how many has he stunk it up in? It's going to be a pretty good and stinking it up down here. Like, I know at times people look to him to do more, and I get it. I look to him to do more. Maybe that's the question we need to solve. Maybe, I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm not saying that there's nothing there, but I also don't think it's the huge snowball problem. Like, I've had people telling me that we're buying this player over summer and Nico's going somewhere else. It's like, what are you talking about? That's not happening. Why would that happen? Why would we get that player whose name I'm not even going to mention? And why would we let that player go? It's just, there's so much drivel when you lose a game, as you know, and we know. And hopefully this podcast hasn't been drivel. Josh and I just want to jump on and talk about the mighty Sharkies. We've got a lot more episodes to come throughout spring, summer. We're back into it before you know it. And when I say back into the real stuff next year, which is exciting. But we've still got, NRLW, and we've still got the Jets to go, which is awesome. Josh, any more thoughts before we head out of here?
Just before we go, who's your tip to win the grand final? Or who do you want to win, maybe more so, and who do you think will win?
I want Melbourne to win. I think Melbourne are favourites based on what we've seen over the past. Well, actually, over the year. I think Melbourne have just been better than Penrith. Yep. And in the finals, I think they've been better than Penrith as well. Although the first week they were both pretty on. But I thought Melbourne were actually better. Like the Penrith first final, they were clinical for probably 35 minutes. Like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Against the Roosters, who had a lot of injury problems. I feel like if they both play to their potential based on this year, so not historically, but on this year, I think Melbourne will get them. But you just can't rule out Penrith, and I wouldn't be foolish enough to do that. I think Melbourne will win. I think it'll be tight, but I think Melbourne will get them. I think Big Nelson missing is significant.
It is.
I don't think it necessarily sways my opinion on who's going to win, but I think it's pretty significant.
Doesn't help.
The fella coming in is a Penrith junior. The fella on the bench, Lazarus.
Oh, yeah, he's got a great name.
Yeah, he's a Penrith junior. And he's played like 8 NRL games. So that's some good,
his wildest
dreams,
dreams, eh?
That's some good coaching. Come on, Lazarus, your time has come. What do you think?
I think if they both play at their absolute peak performance, for this year, like you said, I think Melbourne just get them. I think just Hughes, Munster, Pappenhausen, Grant is just absolutely ridiculous. They will get the rest of the team over the line. But if Nathan Cleary can get through that game and he plays 80 minutes and he's on, I think he's got enough in his bag to honestly to do it by himself. Like he is. I was a doubter for a long time, but after that grand final last year, I'm like, no, he will be one of the best we've ever seen. And I think he can do it.
Yeah, I don't think he can do it by himself. That's where I differ to you. I think he needs some help. If he gets the help, sure. I think when Jerome Hughes wins the big award tomorrow night, depending when you're listening to this, he's going to get some respect that he hasn't gotten for it. Like, I know people are jumping on now, but he's been good for a long time. And fair enough, it's his best season. Like, I get it, but I look at the form he's in, and I'm talking about him the way I'm talking about Cleary. Like
I can't argue that.
Based on the form this year, it's going to be a good one. Like it's going to be good. Like it's annoying that it's both those teams. They're always there.
But it should be kind of.
Yeah, but also it's annoying. Like I couldn't get like the whole thing last week. Like watching it was like, this is so annoying. Like of course you just kicked the 40-20. Of course you set up a try. Oh, you got an injury. Oh yeah, like it's annoying. But that's how.
That's where we want to be, though, right? We want to be that. So it's we want to be annoying. We want to be the people that everyone hates because they keep winning all the time.
We only get to be annoying for 1 year. That's annoying. How quickly it all fell apart. Yeah. So I'll say Melbourne are going to win 18 points to 14.
Oof. So it could go down to the wire if there's a sort of try in it for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Penrith in an absolute classic. One of the great grand finals I'm predicting. If Cleary versus Hughes, both at their best, is salivating. I cannot wait. I think Cleary gets them home and they go 4 in a row.
That's pretty annoying.
That is annoying. And I think I'll go 20-18. It's going to be one of the best we've seen.
All right. Well, speaking of one of the best we've seen, you're one of the best we've seen, Josh. We love your work. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. And we're back with some more episodes before you know it. So make sure you subscribe, just like it says on the TV. If you're watching us, YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And we will be back in your grill before you know it. Thanks for your time, Joshy. Thanks everyone for listening. If you're watching, thanks for watching. Sorry for the cough before and any kind of lags, but that's life. Life is nothing but lags and coughs and good times that go to prelims. Speak to you all soon. Have a great, safe time with whatever it is you're doing. I'm speaking way too much.
A long
Josh.
weekend.
How
Safe
do I
long
get out of
weekend.
here? Yes, that too. Up Cronulla. We'll talk to you real soon. See you, Joshy.
See you, mate.